position in the bracket will be tested tonight as Memphis hosts another team fighting for playoff positioning, Tulane. The Green Wave are one of 6 one-loss American teams, but 2 power conference wins over Duke and Northwestern in the early season has certainly boosted their resume. So the odds to be the G5 representative look a little bit like this. USF leads it at plus 172. The Dukes, circle them. They're just kind of waiting for the American to maybe cannibalize itself. And then you've got 3 more AAC teams in the top 5 with North Texas, Memphis, and Tulane. Let's welcome in Tom Fornelli and Chip Patterson to talk about some of the action tonight. And I laid out what's at stake for Memphis and Tulane, but what do we anticipate from this matchup? Because, Tom, this is going to be a good football game.
Yeah, it's a huge game, and as you mentioned, with the ramifications on the line, and also having watched South Florida win by a huge score last night, both of these teams realize that they can't just win this game. They also have to be impressive, because it will come down to not just winning the conference, but how the committee views you and whether or not they're going to consider you better than the other G5 champions. And I think that when you look at these two teams right now, I mean, personally, I have more confidence in Memphis at this point than I do in Tulane, because we saw last week Tulane went on the road against UTSA and lost by multiple scores. They did not look good, and that's kind of been a trend for them all year. They had a couple nice wins early in the season against Northwestern and against Duke, but when they've gone on the road, they have not looked like nearly the same team that they are at home. And they're on the road now for a Friday night game for the second week in a row against the Memphis team that is playing very well. This is a huge spot for John Summerall, who, as we know, is not only coaching to get this Tulane team to the college football playoff and to win a conference title, but he's also a name that's coming up in a lot of coaching searches right now in the SEC, whether we're talking about LSU or Auburn. So there's a lot on John Summerall's plate, and there's a lot on his mind heading into this one.
Yeah, wildly different performances from these two teams last time out, which really makes this fascinating in terms of, are you going to bounce back? Are you going to continue? Because for Memphis, I thought they did well. They handled the business of not having a letdown following that emotional comeback win against South Florida. They went to go play Rice. They got up 31-7 by halftime, and then could just park the bus and cruise to an easy win. Now, obviously, Tulane, they got pantsed in the Alamo Dome by UTSA. Couldn't stop them at all. Roadrunners ran right through that Tulane defense. And so I wonder, Emily, was Tulane maybe spending a little bit more time preparing for this matchup against Brendan Lewis and a high-octane Memphis Tigers, and maybe that cost them slipping a little bit against UTSA? Perhaps, but Tulane is in a big bounce-back spot, particularly defensively, because of what this Memphis offense can do.
Yeah, you mentioned it. 48-26 was the final score in that loss to UTSA. So, yeah, I'd say they got the defense circled in this matchup. Tigers, though, 3.5-point favorite at home. Chip, who you got in this one?
I'm going to take Memphis. I know the market's been moving in Tulane's favor, but I think that Memphis has played closer to its potential for most of the season than Tulane has. Because for my estimation, Tulane probably has the more talented roster. Tulane, as we discussed earlier, has a resume that looks good because of those multiple Power 5 wins. But I just don't think that in terms of how close you are to your ceiling, I don't know if Tulane's been there. And as Tom mentioned earlier, they're going on the road, a place that has been a trouble spot for them. But great coach, talented roster. If they put it all together, would not surprise me. But given the form, I'm going to go with Memphis here.
Yeah, I like Memphis to win this game as well, but I'm not going to go with the spread. I think the best play on this game personally is the Memphis team total over 28.5. As I mentioned earlier, Tulane has struggled and looked like a different team on the road, and those struggles have mostly been on the defensive side of the ball. They've played 4 games on the road, and the only team that scored fewer than 31 points against them in those 4 games was Tulsa, which is one of the worst teams in that conference. So I look at this Memphis squad that has a very explosive offense, and I think that they're going to approach 31 points at a minimum in this game. The question will be, can Darian Mensah and Tulane keep up? I don't know, but I know Memphis is going to score.
Tom, just based on what you've seen so far this season, who would be your pick as far as the best team in the group of 5?
I think right now you have to go with USF because it's not just that they're winning games, it's that they're blowing teams out on a regular basis. And it seems to be, like it feels like Alex Golesh is really kind of instructing his team to do so. It reminds me a lot of what we saw at Indiana last year, where it was a program where they realized, listen, simply winning games isn't going to be enough. We have to look really impressive while doing so. So you're seeing the Bulls go out and they're not content just winning by 7 or 10 points. If they've got a chance to keep scoring in the fourth quarter, whether the game is over or not, they're going to keep scoring more points in the fourth quarter. And I think that they have the better quarterback in Byron Brown than anybody else in this league has right now too. So I think when you look at the offense, you look at the quarterback, and you just look at the results, it's hard not to go with South Florida.
Emily, you are part of the family. I need to let you in on some family beef, okay?
Uh-oh.
This is important here because Tom doesn't think JMU has a chance. Tom just doesn't think that James Madison has a realistic shot here.
No.
And judging from the way you set it up, it sounds like you might be on my side. This is me and Tom's beef right now. I won't quit the Dukes. I think the Dukes are wildly impressive. I think they're built the right way. Bob Chesney is a terrific coach. They whip up on you at the lines of scrimmage, and we've seen Alonzo Barnett, the quarterback there, throw up some crazy statistics in terms of being able to be a real dual threat quarterback. Keep your eye on that Marshall game this weekend. Another chance for them to put up a crazy number. If they don't lose a conference game, if they win the Sun Belt title, if their only loss all season is by 14 points at Louisville, I think they deserve a shot. Now, on a neutral field, I would take South Florida. Heck, I might even take Memphis on a neutral field. But if it's not best, but if it's most deserving, then one loss, Sun Belt champion JMU, I'd like to see them have a little bit of shot at this.
So hold on. You're arguing for James Madison while saying you don't think they would beat any of the other teams that we were mentioning and discussing? Like, I don't think that makes sense. And
it's most deserving. I think all of these debates are best versus most deserving. Are you judging by their power rating or their resume?
I mean,
It's not
technically,
power
Chip, I
rating
did
I'm
ask
judging
who's the
by.
best team. So is that a different pick
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, I mean, the South Florida would beat JMU on a neutral field, but
Okay.
I'd like to see JMU have a shot at this. I'm just not ready to write them off just yet.
I mean, based on what we've seen in the Americans so far, there's a very good chance that Tulane could win this game and ruin it for Memphis. And like I said at the beginning of this segment, there could be some cannibalizing in that conference. And Dukes are just like, hey, I'll punch my ticket. Why the heck not?